There was a time when Sears did not feel like just another store. It felt like a place where almost anything you needed could somehow be found under one roof or inside one enormous catalog. Clothes for school, tools for dad, curtains for the living room, Christmas presents for the kids. And things so large you could hardly believe they came from Sears at all. For millions of American families, a trip to Sears was not simply shopping, it was part of everyday life. If you grew up in the 1950s, 60s, or 70s, some of these purchases may bring back memories you have not thought about in years. You might remember the smell of the store, the escalators, the appliance department, or sitting at the kitchen table with that thick catalog spread open in front of you. Here are 15 things Americans once bought at Sears that tell the story of a very different shopping era. 1. Toughskins jeans. For a generation of American kids, Sears Toughskins were practically a uniform. Parents loved them because they were sold as durable pants that could survive the punishment of playgrounds, bicycles, tree climbing, and endless afternoons outside. Kids did not always love them for the same reason. Toughskins had a reputation for feeling almost indestructible, and that was exactly the point. A mother buying school clothes could reasonably hope that one pair might last longer than the knees of ordinary pants. Back-to-school shopping at Sears often meant standing under bright department store lights while a parent checked waist sizes and pant lengths. The child might have been impatient, but the parent was thinking about how many months those clothes needed to survive. For families watching every dollar, durability mattered. Clothing was expected to last, get handed down, or at least make it through the school year without another trip to the store. Today, the name Toughskins can instantly transport some former kids back to school hallways, playground blacktop, and the feeling of wearing pants their parents seemed much more excited about than they were. 2. Craftsman hand tools. Walk into the tool department at Sears, and you entered a world that felt especially important to fathers, grandfathers, homeowners, and teenagers learning how to fix things for the first time. Craftsman wrenches, sockets, screwdrivers, and toolboxes became fixtures in American garages and basements. Many families bought them slowly, one tool or one set at a time, building a collection that could last for decades. There was something reassuring about opening a heavy metal toolbox and seeing those familiar tools lined up inside. They were used to repair lawnmowers, tighten bicycles, work on cars, assemble furniture, and tackle Saturday projects around the house. For many boys and girls, their first lesson in tools came beside a parent who reached into a Sears toolbox and said, "Hand me the half-inch wrench." Those small moments became part of family memory. Plenty of old Craftsman tools are still sitting in garages today, scratched and worn, but usable, carrying the fingerprints of people who bought them when Sears was one of America's most trusted places for tools. 3. Kenmore washing machines. Before appliances became something people compared online through dozens of websites, many families simply went to Sears. And when they needed a washing machine, one of the most familiar names waiting there was Kenmore. The appliance department was a serious destination. Rows of washers and dryers stood side by side, their lids opened by curious shoppers, while salespeople explained capacities, cycles, and features that sounded impressively modern at the time. A new washing machine could be a major household purchase. Families expected it to work for years, and buying one often involved careful discussion about price, reliability, delivery, and whether the old machine could somehow survive another month. Children might remember the arrival more than the purchase itself. A Sears delivery truck would pull up. Two men would wrestle the machine through the doorway, and suddenly the laundry room had a gleaming new appliance. Kenmore became so familiar that many Americans hardly thought of it as a separate brand. It simply belonged to Sears, and Sears belonged to the rhythm of maintaining an American home. 4. Silvertone radios and record players. Long before every room contained a screen, a radio, or record player could be one of the most important pieces of entertainment in the house. Sears sold its own Silvertone electronics to families who wanted music and broadcasts at home. A Silvertone radio might sit on a kitchen counter, bedroom dresser, or living room shelf. Through it came baseball games, weather reports, popular songs, local news, and voices that became familiar companions. Record players brought a different kind of excitement. Teenagers could play their favorite 45s, younger children could listen to story records, and families could put on albums during holidays or weekend gatherings. There was a physical ritual to music then. Choosing a record, lifting it carefully from its sleeve, placing it on the turntable, and lowering the needle. The faint crackle before the music began was part of the experience. For people who remember Silvertone equipment, the name evokes a time when entertainment required a little more patience, when one machine in the corner could bring an entire family together. 5. DieHard car batteries. For many Americans, Sears was also part of keeping the family car alive. One of its most recognizable automotive products was the DieHard battery, introduced when reliability on the road mattered enormously to drivers. A dead battery could ruin a winter morning, a commute, or a family trip. The promise behind the DieHard name was easy to understand. Drivers wanted something they could trust when they turned the key. Sears automotive centers were once common sights. A parent might leave the car for service while the family went inside the store to shop, eat, or wander through departments until the work was finished. Children often remembered those automotive areas by smell before anything else. Rubber tires, oil, warm machinery, and the unmistakable atmosphere of a service garage attached to a giant department store. Buying a battery at Sears was not glamorous, but that is precisely why it belongs in the story. Sears was woven into ordinary responsibilities, including the moment when the family car needed to start tomorrow morning. 6. School clothes from the Sears catalog. For children living far from major shopping centers, the Sears catalog could bring an entire clothing department directly into the home. Back-to-school shopping sometimes began not in a store, but at the kitchen table. Parents turned through pages of shirts, dresses, sweaters, socks, coats, and shoes, while children pointed toward the styles they hoped they would get. A pencil might circle an item number while measurements were checked carefully. Ordering required imagination. There were no customer photos, unboxing videos, or instant reviews. You looked at a printed picture, read a short description, selected a size, and trusted that what arrived would be right. Then came the wait. That waiting made the package itself exciting. Opening a Sears order could feel almost like an early birthday, even when the box contained perfectly ordinary school clothes. For many rural and small-town families especially, the catalog did something remarkable. It made the merchandise of a huge national retailer available without requiring a long drive to a city. 7. Coldspot refrigerators. A refrigerator was one of the biggest purchases a household could make, and Sears once sold generations of Americans refrigerators under the Coldspot name. Earlier models looked very different from today's sleek appliances. Their rounded shapes, heavy doors, chrome details, and simple interiors became part of the visual language of mid-century kitchens. Families often kept refrigerators for a very long time. A new one was not treated like a casual upgrade. It was an event, especially when it replaced an aging appliance that had rattled, leaked, or required increasingly creative persuasion to keep running. The refrigerator door itself became part of family life. Notes, school papers, shopping reminders, and later magnets accumulated across its surface. Children opened it repeatedly, hoping something more interesting had appeared since the last time they looked. Coldspot eventually faded from everyday American vocabulary, but for older shoppers, the name can still summon an image of a Sears appliance department and the promise of a modern kitchen. 8. Christmas toys from the Wish Book. Few Sears memories are as powerful as the arrival of the Christmas Wish Book. For children, it was not merely a catalog, it was hundreds of pages of possibility. Kids studied the toy section with extraordinary concentration. Dolls, bicycles, train sets, games, action figures, toy kitchens, sporting goods, and countless other treasures filled pages that could become wrinkled from repeated viewing. Children circled favorites, folded corners, and sometimes developed elaborate strategies for making sure parents noticed exactly which toys mattered most. Brothers and sisters might argue over who got to look at it first. Parents saw the same pages differently. They compared prices, calculated Christmas budgets, and quietly tried to determine which wishes could actually appear under the tree. The wish book made anticipation last for weeks. Long before a package was opened, children had already imagined owning those toys over and over again. In that sense, the catalog itself became part of Christmas morning. 9. J.C. Higgins Sporting Goods. Sears once sold a wide range of sporting and outdoor equipment under the J.C. Higgins name, a brand remembered by generations who grew up camping, fishing, playing ball, and spending weekends outdoors. Families could find bicycles, fishing equipment, camping gear, baseball equipment, and other products meant for recreation. Sears was not only where you bought household necessities, it could also be where the next family adventure began. A fishing rod purchased there might later appear in photographs from a lake vacation. A bicycle could become a child's transportation for years. A piece of camping equipment might be unpacked every summer until it became as familiar as anything in the garage. That is what made these purchases memorable. Their real value was often not in the store, but in what happened afterward. First rides, first catches, backyard games, family trips, and long summer afternoons. The J.C. Higgins name largely disappeared, but many of the objects survived long enough to become garage sale discoveries and family hand-me-downs decades later. 10. Sewing machines. When home sewing was a much more common part of American life, Sears was a natural place to buy a sewing machine. In many households, that machine was not a hobby accessory. It was a practical tool. Mothers and grandmothers used sewing machines to make dresses, repair torn clothes, hem pants, sew curtains, create Halloween costumes, and stretch the family clothing budget a little further. Children remember the sound, the steady, mechanical rhythm of the machine, the foot pedal controlling its speed, and fabric sliding beneath the needle, while someone worked at the dining room table or in a spare room. A sewing machine could remain in the family for decades. It might live inside a wooden cabinet that looked like ordinary furniture when closed, then unfold into a small home workshop when needed. Today, sewing is still loved by many people, but it is less central to everyday household life than it once was. The Sears sewing machine recalls an era when repairing something often came before replacing it. 11. Allstate tires. Before Allstate became primarily associated in the public mind with insurance, the name also appeared on products sold through Sears, including automobile tires. For a family car carrying parents and children across town or across several states, tires were a practical purchase that could not be ignored. Sears offered a familiar place to buy them and have automotive work performed at the same time. A Saturday trip for tires could turn into a full family outing. Dad dealt with the service counter while everyone else wandered through the store, visited another department, or waited until the car was ready. The experience reflects something that has largely disappeared: the giant department store as a place that could handle remarkably different parts of life. You might buy socks upstairs while mechanics were mounting tires on your station wagon outside. That combination seems unusual now, but at the height of Sears, it made perfect sense. The company wanted to be the place Americans thought of first, whether they needed a shirt, a refrigerator, or 4 new tires. 12. Catalog furniture. Sears catalogs did more than dress the family. They helped furnish the house. Shoppers could browse chairs, tables, bedroom furniture, cabinets, and other pieces without walking through a modern furniture showroom. For young couples setting up a first home, catalog shopping offered a way to compare styles and prices from the kitchen table. A page could be studied repeatedly before a decision was made. Furniture was often purchased with the expectation that it would stay for years. The dining table would collect scratches, the dresser would follow a child from one bedroom to another, and a chair might eventually become Grandpa's chair simply because he always sat there. Those objects slowly became invisible parts of family life. Nobody thought much about where they had been purchased until years later, when someone clearing out a house discovered an old Sears label or remembered the delivery. It is a reminder that Sears did not merely sell products. For countless households, it helped assemble the physical setting in which family memories were made. 13. Television sets. Buying a television once felt much bigger than picking up another electronic device. A new TV could transform the living room, and Sears was one of the places families went to see rows of sets glowing together. The television department had its own magic. Multiple screens displayed the same program, and shoppers stood comparing picture quality, cabinet styles, screen sizes, and prices, while salespeople explained the latest features. Some televisions were built into substantial wooden cabinets and treated almost like furniture. Families arranged the living room around them because everyone would gather there for favorite shows, major news, sports, and special broadcasts. When a new set arrived, children might sit unusually close to the screen, despite repeated warnings from parents. Adjusting antennas, changing channels by hand, and waiting for the picture to settle were normal parts of television watching. A Sears television purchase therefore became connected to thousands of later evenings. The machine disappeared eventually, but memories of what the family watched together remained. 14. Sears Roebuck Catalog Houses. Perhaps nothing demonstrates the astonishing range of old Sears better than this. There was a period when Americans could order the materials for an entire house through a catalog. Sears sold mail-order homes in the early 20th century, long before the shopping era most baby boomers personally remember. Yet many of those houses remained standing in neighborhoods where later generations grew up. Customers selected a design, and the materials needed to construct it were shipped for assembly. Lumber, doors, windows, hardware, and other components arrived as part of an enormous logistical operation that sounds almost unbelievable today. These homes are different from the smaller Sears purchases people remember from the 1960s and 70s. But they reveal why the Sears name carried such enormous cultural weight. The company had spent decades convincing Americans that almost anything could arrive through its system. Some Sears houses still stand today, ordinary-looking homes with an extraordinary connection to the age when a mail-order catalog seemed capable of supplying nearly an entire life. 15. Almost anything, from the Big Book. The final item is not one particular product. It is the experience of buying from the Sears catalog itself, because for generations, the Big Book was almost a store that lived inside the house. It was thick, heavy, and filled with page after page of merchandise. Children searched for toys. Teenagers studied clothes. Parents looked for appliances and household goods. Someone else might turn directly to tools or automotive supplies. Families could spend evenings browsing without intending to order anything. The catalog was useful, entertaining, and strangely comforting because it suggested that whatever the household eventually needed was probably somewhere inside those pages. Ordering was slower than shopping today. You filled out information, placed the order, and waited. There was no real-time tracking map showing a truck approaching your door. The arrival happened when it happened. And perhaps that waiting made purchases feel more significant. When the box finally arrived, someone carried it inside, opened the cardboard, removed the packing material, and saw an object that had existed only as a small photograph on a catalog page. Sears eventually lost the central place it once held in American shopping, and the giant catalogs disappeared from coffee tables and kitchen counters. But for people who lived through that era, the memory is not really about a retailer. It is about the ordinary routines surrounding it. It is about mom checking sizes before ordering school clothes, dad walking through the tool department, children studying the wish book before Christmas, a new refrigerator arriving at the house, a Saturday spent waiting for tires, a cardboard box appearing with something the family had been expecting for weeks. Those moments seem small until enough years pass. Then the store, the catalog, the products, and even the waiting become pieces of a world that no longer exists in quite the same way. If Sears was part of your family's life, what do you remember buying there? Was it Toughskins, Craftsman tools, a Kenmore appliance, Christmas toys, or something completely different? Share the Sears purchase you still remember in the comments. Sometimes one forgotten item is all it takes to bring an entire Saturday afternoon back.